Taylor Sheridan is a really solid writer, and I want to watch a lot of his other stuff now. But after watching the Yellowstone timeline backwards, essentially, I watched the original Yellowstone series, 1923, then 1883, and it's just interesting to see these completely different eras of the Dutton family and all the things that they go through. How a lot of their, like, all of their lives are very similar in a lot of ways, and obviously completely different with just the times that they're in. The Yellowstone series, the original one at least, has a lot of themes of that lifestyle, the cowboy lifestyle, being old. I like that Yellowstone, like that felt very personal to Taylor Sheridan, that he is very, embedded into the world of cowboys and being on a ranch and all that stuff, and it's kind of, that was a main theme they kept bringing up, that is not a thing anymore, and big corporate businesses are essentially weeding a lot of them out. They're just like how the whole point being, the cowboys don't belong in the future kind of thing, and I thought that was a very interesting. The reminder of that throughout the Yellowstone series was an interesting setup to watch the prequels, 1923 and 1883. So let me just get into them. Actually, I watched. What's funny is, for this video, I guess I'll go in order. Let me start with 1883 and then go, since I just finished that one, then I'll go kind of forward from there in the timeline. 1883 is just. If you want to see if you're a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2, you're into that kind of those specific years between the Civil War and World War One, and what America was, like that, what was happening in those in those years and what was developing. That 1883 is just a really. It's a really solid miniseries that doesn't let you forget what life was like in that time, for women, for people from outside the country, foreigners, and for cowboys and the natives. All of that stuff is really well done. You're watching, when you watch it, you're shocked at the idea that was only 150 years ago, give or take, and a lot of it feels very accurate. What I appreciate about his shows is that they all feel extremely true to how the times were, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I'm not 100% on a lot of this stuff, but it feels very authentic. It feels very accurate to how life was, and how brutal it was. Like 1883. Is such a it's all some brutal insight into how hard life was, basically, how extremely hard life was for people in the 19th century, and I thought it was great. It's very like the other shows. Something that I'll just say about all three series is that they're, in his writing, from what I've seen so far, especially his television writing, Taylor Sheridan's stuff is so poetic. Elsa in 1883 is some of the most lovely words that have ever been spoken in television history, and I think that really inspired me to, if I were to ever get into writing screenplays or trying to do more storytelling in that way, it was a lovely reminder of, okay, like, I personally know a lot about, trying to write things. Like, songwriting is very, very similar to poetry, and just the way that words feel. His writing and like I said, Elsa's monologues, a lot of her voiceover narrations are it made me fall in love with language again, and made me fall in love with words in a completely different way, and especially like how words are translated to the screen and how we use them. And very careful. Every bit of it feels so carefully selected in what he wants the characters to say. 1883 is much slower than the other shows, and I liked it for that reason, because I mean, there's plenty of action in 1883. There's some really really great big moments actually. A lot of good action, but I love the quiet, intimate moments as well. I love that. I love that that the director, I believe his name is Ben Richardson. I love that he is not afraid to let things breathe, letting scenes breathe, and not being afraid of the quiet. In all three series, more so 1883 and Yellowstone, I guess, not 1923 as much, but there are a lot of moments where, it's just them riding out in the horizon, and a lot of like quiet moments of just, okay, like a shot of nature or a sunset or sunrise, whatever, and they aren't afraid to let the those moods settle in and let things kind of, like, they embrace the quiet. 1883, while it might be a little slower than the other shows, embraces the quiet, like how like you almost feel like how haunting silence can be in that show. Not even haunting, but how much is said with things not being said. I think 1883 is so, it says so much outside of the dialogue, and I think those silent moments are why. That's what I kind of get out of it. Is you're able to really feel like you're there with the characters, and you're able to feel that journey that they have. Because 1883 is literally like Red Dead Redemption 2 or the Oregon Trail, like that kind of. It's just exactly that, it's just them going from one place to the other and all sorts of crazy shit that happens along the way until they get to Montana and settle, and find where they want to establish the Dutton family lands, the land that they end up claiming as their own. So yeah, 1883. I really enjoyed how just, I don't know, how lovely and tragic it was. It's beautifully tragic, or definitely embraces the just ultimate challenge, like some of the most insane challenges that people had to face in that time. I imagine this. All right, it's a great depiction of that, at least from what I was getting from it. So yeah, really brutal series, a little slower than the others, but I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. Sam Elliott fucking killed it, as well as Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. The whole cast, everybody in that show is very solid. I was thinking when I was, it was like, it raises an eyebrow as soon as you're Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, but they kill it. They're amazing, and now I want to actually listen to their music and see, get to know them outside of those characters, just because I love their performances so much. So I'm really glad that I watched 1883 just for that reason. The actors and the poetry and the Elsa's character is just so lovely in that, so fucking lovely, and I really enjoyed it. I was just finished up, literally just finished it up a little bit ago, and it was fantastic. 1923. First, before I forget anything else, Spencer Dutton is one of the most admirable characters I've ever seen in any show ever. Basically, because he kind of is as many demons as he struggles with, and how much shit that he has to deal with. How hard of a life that he's lived. He's still a respectable human being, and to me is the idea of he's the personification of what the ideal man should be, is kind of where I'm getting at with this. Positive masculinity equals Spencer Dutton. He is the most, I mean, legitimately, like, makes me want to be a better, like, not only a better person, but have more self-respect to myself as a man. And I'm not, I mean, I genuinely mean this 100% when I say that, like, Spencer Dutton and just watching his character in 1923 has completely like shifted how I want to carry myself or how I want to the kind of man I want to be. If I could be, aside from all of the like, having to kill a bunch of people and being all fucked up from the trauma of being in war and having PTSD from that. Aside from that, Spencer Dunne's just he's the ideal like male role model. That's all. Like he's like the perfect male role model that like every if you're a guy, you should watch 1923 just for Spencer Dutton and just to see him. Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are fucking awesome in it as well. All the characters are great, and thankfully I haven't really like said any spoilers, so I don't really want to like get into spoilers too much. But 1923 is fucking awesome. The first season of it sets up a lot of good stuff that season 2 just completely delivers on, and it's big. I like that 1923 is so epic. Every bit of 1923, like every episode, something big as fuck happens, like very big. Where it basically where we're used to season premieres and finales of TV shows being the most interesting part of that, and a lot of the middle is, those are the biggest parts of the story arc that each season is, right? Is the beginning and the end, and everything in the middle is a lot of lead up to the end or developing. Storylines, all that stuff, right? But 1923 feels like any of those episodes could have been like the finale, or any episode could be the biggest episode of another separate show. And I think that's like, I honestly think 1923 is probably my favorite one out of all of them. 1923 is insanely well done with how like like I said, how big it is and how entertaining it is. It's seriously entertaining. 1923 was very addictive. When I watched it recently, I couldn't stop like watching it. Like I burned through it in like, I don't know, a week, maybe a couple of weeks or something like that. And yeah, Spencer and Alex's relationship is so strong. Like you really love them so much, as well as I believe Jack and Elizabeth. They're great too. As different as they are, Jack is like this, there's like the young couple. Like Elizabeth is from a city girl, completely out of her element, and then Jack is just really charming and a lovely, like, youthful energy. And then Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, Jacob and I forget Helen Mirren's character's name. I'm sorry to say, but they're. I mean, it's such a 1923 was this amazing realization of like, oh my god, like these older actors still got that dog in them, man. They're still fucking killing it. Like Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren in that show, like you think that whereas you think a lot of these actors once they get to that age, that they're like, oh, okay, they're probably just making their money at this point, taking on whatever roles that they feel like doing, but like, I mean, they absolutely destroy it. Like as far as what they bring to the table. That's my favorite thing with seeing any actors on screen is seeing them bring their A game. And Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren bring so much more than they needed to. It feels like, and they didn't phone it in. I really appreciated seeing their performances in that series because of how committed to it that they were, even though it's even though it's a mini series that has a smaller amount of episodes or whatever. Anyway, what I mean is I obviously, yeah, I love that they really just knock it out of the park, despite those being some of like some of the last roles of their careers. And it was a nice reminder to myself of like, oh, like, it doesn't matter like how old you get, you can still really you can still find work that's not only appealing to you, but that works well for you. And as actors, artists, or musicians, it's like no matter what age you are, you can still find something worthwhile if you want to. And it looks like they really, were enthusiastic about. I'm just as far as just their performances. Their performances seemed very. They just seemed so committed and so dedicated, and it was just a surprise. I think what I'm really trying to say with all of this is that you expect these actors to just be like, oh, they're using them to sell the show, and be like, oh yeah, Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, these groundbreaking like fucking these huge names, right? Huge household names. And you think, oh, they're just using them to sell. They're probably not even going to be that involved, and they're probably just going to be, make an appearance, and they're using that to sell the show. And it's like, no, they're in every single episode and involved throughout the entire story, and their performances are good, and they, despite being like much, much older and way later in their lives, they're it's like they're killing it just as much as they did 30 or 40, 50 years ago. I'm just fucking blown away by that. And hats off to them. Like, hats off to, there are a lot of musicians that do this too. They're getting up there and they still perform. It's fucking amazing. If you're at a certain age and you're still doing this shit, you're still making shit, and you're working. I have so much, like, such an insanely profound respect for you, and I commend you so much for still putting the work in. Fuck, Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, you two absolutely fucking destroyed that show, and I can't wait to watch it again, like sometime sooner rather than later, with someone who's never seen it, just to re-experience all of what I'm talking about right now. Yellowstone. Well, let's get into that now. I've had some time to sit on the second half of season 5, so I'll definitely get into my thoughts on that. If you haven't seen Yellowstone at all, if you have never seen any of these shows and you're wanting to watch it, I might or might not get into some potential spoilers here in a second. So just in case you do want to watch it, stop the video here. That's okay if I lose the watch hours or whatever. But I have no idea if something will accidentally slip or whatever. I'll definitely try not to. I keep everything so goddamn vague in general on here. I might as well use that to my advantage and not spoiling things for potential viewers, because I personally, some people don't care about spoilers. I really do, because I think if you know something, it doesn't ruin your experience, it just changes it. If you know the ending of an M. Night Shyamalan movie, it's not like the movie's not watchable. It'll just, you won't be, you will emotionally have a completely different experience emotionally, and that's something that I try not to. I never want to, ruin something for other people, unless it's for a movie that sucks that you don't really have to watch anyway. But Yellowstone doesn't suck. It's very amazing. And yeah, so obviously, Kevin Costner is the greatest thing about Yellowstone. He is fucking incredible. And John Dutton in that, the John Dutton in that show, at least in the Yellowstone, because there's like multiple John Duttons. If you know the Dutton family tree, John is like, there are just countless Johns in that. So Kevin Costner is one of those actors I've seen a lot throughout my life, but can't really name many of the movies that I've actually seen him in. I think I've seen him in side roles here, like in Man of Steel, or in certain, like just certain flicks, but none of his like main flicks. And I should see them. After watching Yellowstone now, I really want to watch Dances with Wolves. He also did like Field of Dreams, I want to say. He's done so many. I mean, Kevin Costner he's the fucking man. He's done so many solid flicks, but his older stuff is all the stuff that I should see. Anyway, Kevin Costner in Yellowstone is just fucking awesome, because he's another character that's very admirable, similar to Spencer Dutton. He reminds you of all of the things that are all of the things that when it comes to being a man or whatever. How you can just be a good example of that and what that means. Like John Dutton is unapologetically who he is, but he's not disrespectful. He doesn't go out of his way to, you know, while he's not perfect and he's just as corrupt as everybody else in the show. Like he's you know, he's doing what he can to defend his land, and you just can't help but respect him because of a lot of things that he says and his outlook on life, and a lot of the, I mean, how hard his life is or whatever, now how much shit that he's been through, and he still tries to find some purpose, or tries to find something worthwhile amongst the chaos of what's going on. I mean, he's literally getting like shot and all this fucking crazy shit is happening to him, and he's still a stand-up person. He's still an admirable guy who's looking out for his kids as much as he can, and is looking out for his family's legacy. And it's, I mean, it's so fucking awesome to watch that. All of his kids' character, all the children's characters are very lovely and complex. Casey is, you know, was in the military and is just very you know, his just like the standard Dutton, I guess, you know, the default Dutton, I guess, is who Casey Dutton is to me. And he's great. He's you know, compassionate, and still, again, I want to bring up how amazing the Yellowstone series is in promoting all of the good things about masculinity, and how all of the things that men should take pride in with themselves, you know, and I really appreciate that. While Casey is very, you know, kind of general, you got Beth, who's a fucking wild card, crazy fucking awesome character, total badass, and as fucking crazy as she can be, she gets the job done, and you want her on your side. You're the kind of person that you really would hate to be an enemy of hers. So the fact that like the family has to deal with a lot of her crazy shit, they're also, you know, Rip, you know, her main love interest throughout the whole series is crazy about her, and he loves her, and he puts up with so much, despite putting up with so much in his childhood. Like, Rip's character is so tragic. Oh my god, I don't think I've seen a more tragic character in TV. Seriously, Rip in Yellowstone is so broken, and he's like the most fucking broken person, and yet again still tries to find purpose and have some sort of meaning and his in the fucked up situation that his life was from the get-go. And that's why he's very close to John Dutton, because John Dutton completely saves his fucking life. And Jamie Dutton is wonderfully plays so well by Wes Bentley. Oh my god, Wes Bentley is fucking awesome in that role, and you feel so sorry for Jamie. If you hate Jamie, of course, like, I get that. Hating Jamie in Yellowstone and is to me like hating, like, it's the same thing as hating Skylar White in Breaking Bad. If you hate them, then I don't think that you're looking at as much into their character as you might think. You know, if you really look into the details of, and I'm not going to talk about Breaking Bad for too long, but if you look into the details of Skylar's situation, if you really look at it from her perspective, a lot of the things that she does is completely understandable and completely, it makes sense. It just makes sense. It makes sense that Jamie is the way he is, though, too, and how isolated he feels within his own family, and how ostracized he feels. Despite being told, you know, John really tells him how much he wants John's approval so much, and he wants to be a good son to him so much, that John that totally like takes advantage of that. Is one of those things that, like, yeah, John's a great guy, but didn't handle that situation too well. Doesn't know, and again, because of the way he was raised and the time that he comes from, it's just a you see how each generation of characters from 1883 to Yellowstone and in present day, you see how each of them, they're so similar as far as how the Dutton family is. However, all of them, because of the time that they're in, are in completely different, they all have completely separate circumstances that they have to deal with, and that's one of them is John Dutton clearly not knowing how to emotionally connect with his kids and not know how to not as much as he might want to. That's all. Like just how toughened and thick-skinned that he is, that he's has certain I don't know why I say certain. That's not a word. I don't know why I do that, but he has certain. It's like a delay using the T sound in that. Certain. He has a certain, like, not detachments from his kids or the world or whatever, but you can see how much of his like his sensitivity is kind of beaten out of him because of how hard the life of a cowboy is. That's kind of always a theme in westerns in general, is life is so fucking hard as a cowboy that you're there's nothing, there's no time to like bitch and moan, or they don't even give themselves like a moment to do that or whatever, like in order to survive. Like that's a big part of what the huge theme in all three series is, that having a tough, thick-skinned attitude is a means of is literally the only way to survive in those environments, or in those in whatever circumstances you might be, whether it's out in the middle of fucking nowhere, or dealing with life in the 20s, or dealing with life after the Civil War, so all of the shows clearly demonstrate just how tough these characters' lives are too, how exhausting, like their stories all feel exhausting in a lot of ways, or you feel kind of emotionally wrung out like a sponge, and in watching what they go through, you're kind of experiencing this. It's like you're going through those experiences with them, and in first person, and realizing how you're like, it's like you're wondering, man, all these people are pretty tough, and then you're seeing what happens in the show, and you're like, oh, that's why. That's what I get from a lot of these. You're like, damn, all these people are pretty fucking badass, and able to they can handle anything. They can, Rip kills like a fucking bear in season 1 of Yellowstone or whatever. That's a great scene with an Asian couple on the side of a mountain. You gotta check that show out just for that. Check Yellowstone out just for that fucking scene, because there's some just crazy death scenes in Yellowstone that you're just like they kind of stick with you, and they feel really really impactful, obviously. But yeah, like that's when you see Rip having to shoot a bear, or you see Spencer Dutton literally shooting fucking like lions out in Africa or whatever the fuck, like hunting like animals, hunting big fucking animals, and then you're seeing James Dutton in 1883 go from being in the Civil War and dealing with all that to literally watching everyone around him die as he goes from Texas to, takes the Oregon Trail up to where they end up in Montana, and it's you really feel for all of them. You can't watch these shows and not sympathize with the characters and not completely understand who they are and where why they have the certain attitudes that they have. And I mean, Taylor Sheridan, let's just get into him, because this is the guy who's the brain behind all this. I fucking admire the shit out of this guy. I really admire how good he is at just the writing for his stories are just so good. Like, he's good at making them interesting. High stakes. If you want to see like how high stakes in storytelling should be done, just watch all of these shows. Watch all of Taylor Sheridan's work, because it always feels like you'll never watch an episode of Yellowstone or any of these other, 1883, 1923. You'll never watch them and think it's going to be like a dud of an episode, or something big isn't going to happen. A lot of people are very disappointed by like the later seasons of Yellowstone, because it did go from, and I would agree, where it goes from being like a crazy awesome action packed like epic to more of a political driven, slow burn leading up to kind of like the end of season 5. Well, I really do love all of it because I'm just biased and I don't know, I love Yellowstone so much. I'll just like whatever is presented. The second half of season 5, now that I've been sitting on it, I have such mixed feelings about it. Like, I love it. I do like it. I don't want to. I don't want to say I love it because that's such a strong word. But for the situation that they had and the nightmare of a production it was, apparently trying to get Kevin Costner's scheduling up with everything, and just this is apparently the delays from COVID, I believe, or certain things that were happening, basically, with the scheduling and the production and some production issues, as well as the scripts not being there. Anything I've read into it is, Kevin Costner wasn't crazy about the scripts, and I'm assuming Taylor Sheridan didn't feel like they didn't feel confident in the scripts, and it kept getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. Eventually, like they just couldn't make it work the way they wanted to without giving anything away. It's basically it's a huge left turn from what we're used to the show being. However, you still want to see how a lot of things resolve, and it's an ending. At least it got an ending. I think I was waiting for the end of Yellowstone season 5 for so long. I think I was just happy to actually get an ending. But I have mixed feelings because it wasn't what I would have liked. However, I think given the circumstances that they had and what they ended up doing, it worked. It worked pretty well, and I think it was really again kept up with the themes of just how brutal these people's lives are. It was very sad is all, and very like dark and unsettling in a lot of ways. But there were a lot of moments in it that felt like I was getting some much needed closure and a lot of finally being able to just kind of close the book is always, it's really a shame when a show just gets cut off and you don't actually get closure when you've spent time with the characters. TV, the reason TV is such a big deal to people is the amount of time that you spend watching that versus a movie or anything else. Like, TV is 100% the ultimate dedication when it comes to the time that you're giving it. So people definitely don't want to waste their time on something that either doesn't have an ending or they've heard the ending is not great or whatever the fuck. Yellowstone, I think, is amazing, man. It's totally worth watching. Second half of season 5 is fine. I think it's fine, to be honest. I don't hate it. I don't hate it or love it. I think it's I think for what it is, it's pretty solid though. Regardless, all 3 series are lovely and 100% worth watching, 100% worth your attention. If you're looking for something new and you're just wanting to check something out, you will not regret watching Yellowstone or 1883 or 1923. That I can assure you. Because, I don't know, regardless of what, I think with TV, I don't ever try to like hold such harsh criticisms of television because it's such a hard fucking thing to do. I mean, it is so hard. It's so crazy that they started doing Yellowstone in 2018, I think, right? Yeah, like 2018, and all those years was like a lot of like the show being made, and then they finally had to end it, and it was one of those, okay, if they don't end it now, they're never gonna end. It'll never happen kind of thing, and I think it was pretty gnarly. If you like dark and sad, then you'll like the ending of Yellowstone. It's just it was super dark, and a lot of moments I still think about a lot of the time, honestly. But yeah, all 3 of these shows are great. You would love watching them if you're into westerns, if you're into cowboy pew pew shit. You like Red Dead Redemption 2 or any sort of anything in that style, in that genre. Taylor Sheridan's the fucking man. I can't wait to watch his other stuff that he's written because this guy is very, very good at writing what he knows and what he likes, and you feel the love that he gives his characters and his stories. Taylor Sheridan, I think you're absolutely fucking goated Western storyteller. Holy fucking shit. Absolutely incredible, and I'm happy to say that you're that you're doing what you're doing in my in my adult years, and I'm glad I have the appreciation to watch these shows and really understand what they're, I think I'd appreciate them a lot more at my age than I would have like 15 years ago. That's all I mean. So yeah, I really love the Yellowstone universe, and I hear there might even be more spin-offs of it, and he might just keep doing his thing with the Dutton family. I'm excited to see it because these two series, the main Yellowstone series, were just really fun and exciting and tragic. If you like tragic and sad, like drama mixed with Western, and that's exactly the show for you. So if you end up watching it or you have seen it, let me know what you think. I'd love to talk about it with you because there's a lot to talk about with these series. Thanks for watching. Bye.